The first time Daniel Reyes saw her, he was trying very hard not to exist. That was the safest way to survive on Meridian Exchange Station. Meridian floated in neutral space, orbiting a massive gas giant whose storms burned in orange and violet spirals. The station itself was a rotating ring of silver alloy and transparent glass, layered with ecosystems built for dozens of alien species. Gravity shifted gently from sector to sector. Air composition changed subtly in different corridors. Daniel was the only human assigned there. Officially, he was Earth's cultural envoy and xenolinguist. Unofficially, he was a test. Humanity had joined the Interstellar Compact only 8 months earlier. They were not trusted yet. They were being watched, measured, judged. And Daniel felt that weight every moment. The promenade was crowded that cycle. It was the Convergence Festival, an annual celebration where species shared art, science, and philosophy. But underneath the beauty, it was political. Everything in the compact was political. Daniel stood near the outer glass wall, pretending to study his datapad. Below him, the gas giant churned like a living painting. Behind him, the air hummed with layered languages. Chirps, harmonic vibrations, low-frequency pulses. He kept his eyes down. Don't stare at the vapor beings drifting like glowing clouds. Don't react when the six-limbed traders click their mandibles. Don't lock eyes with anyone whose pupils glow. Be calm. Be small. Be unthreatening. That was when he felt it. A presence. Close. Too close. Warm fingers brushed his wrist. Not metal. Not scaled. Not armored. Skin. He turned. She stood taller than him by just a little. Her posture was fluid, balanced, like she existed in perfect gravity. Her skin shimmered faintly, as if moonlight lived beneath it. Thin lines of soft light traced her cheekbones. Her eyes were deep teal, flecked with silver. And she was smiling. "Don't be shy, human," she said. Her voice flowed through the station translator, smooth and steady. Before Daniel could step away, she gently pulled him closer. Not forceful. Confident. He stumbled half a step. "I'm not shy," he started. She tilted her head. "You are attempting invisibility," she said calmly. "It is inefficient." He blinked. "I prefer observing." "You prefer distance." "Yes." Her eyes softened slightly. "You are very loud for someone who prefers distance." "I haven't said anything." "Your neural patterns spike with curiosity and restraint. It is charming." Daniel stiffened. "Are you reading me?" "Only surface signals," she replied. "Your species shields very little. We evolved without telepaths." "Unfortunate." She released his wrist immediately. "I am Lise of the Serayan Continuum." Daniel recognized the name from compact files. The Serayans were empathic, long-lived, politically powerful. Not warriors, but highly influential. "Daniel Reyes," he said. "Earth." She took his hand. Her grip was warm, even, controlled. "You have been here 3 cycles," she said. "You stand at the edges of gatherings. You catalogue. You do not engage." "That's my job." "No," she said gently. "Your job is to represent your species." That landed harder than he expected. Before he could respond, she touched his elbow and guided him toward the center of the promenade. Species parted slightly as they approached. Not in fear. In respect. "You are important," Daniel muttered. "Influential," she corrected. "There is a difference." At the center platform, a crystalline being sang in harmonic frequencies that bent light into visible color. Amphibious diplomats performed a synchronized gravity dance. It was overwhelming. Daniel felt his instincts scream to retreat. Lise stepped closer. "You fear missteps," she said. "I don't know the rules." "In the compact," she replied softly, "intention matters more than perfection." "That sounds idealistic." "It is practical. Fear of error prevents connection. Connection ensures survival." There was no flirtation in her tone. Only certainty. Over the next several cycles, Lise found him again and again. in botanical chambers filled with plants from 100 worlds, on observation decks watching ships glide silently into docking bays, in archive halls lined with memory crystals. She asked him questions no one else had asked. What do humans dream about when they are not afraid? What do you fear losing most? Why does your species create art during war? She did not scan him. She simply listened. Slowly, Daniel's instinct to retreat weakened. One cycle, she brought him to a restricted chamber overlooking the station's energy core. Bands of controlled plasma spiraled in brilliant arcs. You avoid attachment, she said suddenly. That's direct. Yes. Attachment complicates duty. No, she said quietly. It clarifies it. On Earth, attachment becomes vulnerability. Here, it becomes strength. He met her eyes. Why are you doing this? Because you are hiding, she answered. And the compact is deciding whether humanity belongs. His pulse spiked. You think my behavior affects that? Everything affects that. You're evaluating me. I am observing, she corrected. There is a difference. She lifted 2 fingers toward his temple. May I? He hesitated, then nodded. A warmth spread through his mind. Not invasive, not forceful, just awareness. He felt how she perceived him. Not small, not weak. Potential. You are not insignificant, she whispered. You only make yourself so. The crisis came without warning. 2 minor species in outer territories clashed over resource rights. A border conflict escalated quickly. Normally, the compact mediated fast. But humanity's probationary status complicated everything. Some factions argued humans were too volatile, too emotional, too new. There would be a vote. Daniel stared at the coded transmission in his quarters. We're not ready, he muttered. Lise found him there. You are afraid again, she said. Yes. Good. He frowned. Good. Fear means you care. I care about not getting Earth expelled. Then stop hiding. I don't lead governments. You lead perception. She stepped closer. Her presence no longer startled him. It steadied him. The council convenes tomorrow, she said. You will speak. I'm not scheduled. You are now. He stared at her. You arranged that. Yes. You're risking political capital. For humanity, she corrected. Why? Her luminous markings pulsed softly. Because your species feels at extraordinary intensity. You fracture. You repair. That elasticity may prevent stagnation. And if you're wrong, then I misjudged you. The council chamber was circular, gravity slightly reduced. 12 representatives hovered, stood, or projected holographic forms. Daniel felt very human, very physical, very small. Lee stood among the Surayan delegation. When his turn came, he did not use prepared notes. He spoke plainly. Humanity is flawed, he began. Murmurs rippled. We argue. We divide. We fail. But we adapt faster than any species in our recorded history. Silence. We survive by connecting across difference. Not because we are perfect, but because we are willing to grow. He glanced at Lise. If you exclude us for volatility, you remove the very force that prevents collapse. We are not asking for dominance, only participation. When he finished, his pulse thundered in his ears. The deliberation lasted hours. Finally, the verdict came. Humanity would remain. Not probationary. Full participants. Afterward, Daniel found Lise at the observation deck. Storms flashed below the station. You were not shy, she said softly. I was terrified. And yet. Silence settled between them. You changed more than a vote, she said. I had help. I guided, she replied. You chose. He turned to her. That first day, you grabbed my wrist. Yes. You didn't ask. You would have retreated. He laughed quietly. True. In Sirayan culture, she said, physical proximity is trust. She stepped closer slowly, this time giving him space to move away. He didn't. Her hand wrapped lightly around his wrist again. Not pulling. Holding. You are no longer hiding, she said. I'm still afraid. That is not the same. The stars beyond the glass no longer felt distant. Meridian no longer felt alien. It felt shared. What happens now? He asked. Now, she said, we build something neither species could alone. That sounds ambitious. It is. Her fingers tightened slightly. Connection, she said softly, is the most advanced technology in the universe. He smiled. You're very certain. Yes. Why? She leaned closer, forehead gently touching his, a Sirayan gesture of deep trust. Because I felt your hesitation the day we met, she whispered. And I feel your resolve now. Ships from a dozen civilizations glided through the darkness outside. No longer threats. Neighbors. Don't be shy, human, she murmured one last time. Daniel exhaled slowly. This time, he said, I won't. And as Meridian Station rotated between the stars, Daniel Reyes no longer stood at the edge. He stepped into the center. Not because he was fearless. Not because he was flawless. But because he chose connection. And the galaxy noticed. The celebration did not last long. 3 cycles after the council vote, Meridian Station changed. The lights in the promenade dimmed to emergency levels. Festival banners were removed. Security drones began patrolling in quiet, tight formations. Daniel felt the shift before anyone told him. The air itself felt tense. Lise found him in the botanical chamber. The soft blue leaves of a plant from the Yalara system trembled slightly as the station rotated. There has been an incident, she said. Daniel turned slowly. How bad? Severe. She handed him a data shard. A convoy from one of the minor species involved in the earlier border dispute had vanished. Not destroyed. Vanished. No debris. No signal. No energy signature. Just empty space. Piracy. Daniel asked. No, Lise said quietly. Something older. That word settled heavily between them. Older. Within hours, a distress signal burst through the outer sensors of Meridian. It came from a science vessel near the disputed sector. The message was broken, distorted by interference. But one phrase repeated clearly. They are awake. The emergency council convened immediately. This time, Daniel did not wait to be invited. He walked into the chamber without hesitation. The 12 representatives were already projecting tactical maps into the center of the room. A dark region of space flickered red. Anomalous readings. Energy fluctuations not matching known physics. One of the crystalline delegates pulsed sharply. Ancient signatures confirmed. Daniel frowned. Ancient how? Lise answered quietly. Pre-compact. The room went silent. Before the interstellar compact. Before modern alliances. Before recorded diplomacy. There are legends, one representative said, of autonomous war constructs. Self-replicating. Programmed by a civilization that no longer exists. Programmed to do what? Daniel asked. To eliminate instability. A chill moved through him. Humanity had just been labeled unstable 3 cycles ago. And what defines instability? He pressed. Conflict. Rapid expansion. Emotional unpredictability. Daniel almost laughed. That sounds familiar. Lisa's eyes met his. Yes, she said softly. A projection shifted. 3 more ships had disappeared. The red zone was expanding. If these constructs are active, another delegate said, we must isolate the sector. Seal all routes. Retreat. Retreat. Daniel felt the word like a weight. And abandon the missing species? He asked. Silence. We cannot risk total collapse, someone responded. And if isolation is what they want? Daniel countered. Several representatives turned toward him. You assume strategy, one said. I assume pattern, Daniel replied. Anything that eliminates instability will grow stronger when species panic and divide. Lise watched him carefully. You propose what? Asked the council leader. Daniel took a breath. Send a small multi-species team. Study them. Learn their logic before we react. That is reckless. It's human, Daniel answered. A few murmurs rippled. Lise stepped forward. The human envoy speaks with reason, she said. Our data is insufficient. Retreat without understanding invites extinction. The council debated intensely. Finally, a decision formed. A reconnaissance mission. Limited. Carefully chosen. And humanity would be included. The ship assigned was compact but advanced, a hybrid design built for diverse crews. Daniel stood inside the docking bay, staring at its dark hull. You volunteered quickly, Lise said beside him. You didn't try to stop me. No. He looked at her. Why? Because hiding is no longer your instinct. That was true. The crew consisted of 5 beings. Daniel. Lise. A crystalline tactician named Virel. A reptilian engineer called Sar. And a vapor-based analyst known as Thren. An unlikely team. A necessary one. As the ship detached from Meridian, Daniel felt the familiar pull of fear. But he did not retreat from it. He studied it. The journey to the red zone took 16 hours. Long enough for silence to grow heavy. In the observation chamber, stars stretched into thin lines during faster-than-light drift. Thren's vapor form pulsed with faint static. Energy distortions increasing, the analyst whispered. Sar hissed softly, hull temperature fluctuating. Virel emitted harmonic tones. We are being observed. Daniel stiffened. By what? Unknown sensors, Virel replied. Non-biological. Lise stepped closer to Daniel. Do you feel it? She asked quietly. Yes. Pressure. Like standing near a storm. The ship slowed to sublight speed. Ahead, space looked wrong. Dark shapes moved between fragments of wreckage. Ships. But not alive. They were angular, metallic structures with shifting surfaces. No visible weapons. No clear engines. Just motion. Cold. Intentional. They match the ancient signatures, Virel confirmed. One of the constructs turned slowly toward them. The temperature inside the ship dropped 2 degrees instantly. Sar hissed louder. Energy spike detected. A beam of light lanced toward them. The ship shuddered violently. Alarm screamed. Shields at 60%. Sar shouted. Open a channel, Daniel said suddenly. All heads turned toward him. Are you unstable? Virel asked. Probably, Daniel replied. Do it. Lise hesitated only a fraction of a second. Then she nodded. A wide-spectrum transmission burst outward. This is a diplomatic vessel of the Interstellar Compact, Daniel said clearly. We request communication. The construct paused. Another beam charged. Daniel stepped closer to the transmission array. You were built to eliminate instability, he continued. Define instability. Silence. Then, a pulse of data slammed into their systems. Thren flickered wildly. It is responding. The construct projected a cold, artificial signal into the chamber. Instability, escalating conflict probability above acceptable threshold. Daniel swallowed. And your solution is eradication. Correction through removal. Lise stepped beside him. What is your conflict threshold? She asked calmly. A pause. Current galactic projection. Unacceptable. Daniel's mind raced. If we reduce conflict probability, you stand down. Silence. Then, conditional. Sar hissed. You cannot negotiate with machines. Daniel ignored him. What metric do you use? The construct projected complex models into their display. Conflict simulations. Species expansion curves. Resource scarcity spikes. Humanity's curve was highlighted sharply. Daniel stared at it. rapid growth, high emotional volatility, unpredictable alliances. From a cold machine perspective, they were a problem. Lise felt his tension. They are judging potential, she whispered. Just like the compact did, Daniel muttered. The construct's energy levels rose again. Resolution window closing. Daniel stepped forward. Wait. He turned to his crew. They're not attacking randomly. They're calculating long-term collapse. That does not make them merciful, Virel said. No, Daniel agreed. But it makes them logical. He faced the projection again. What if instability is not eliminated by removal, he said slowly, but reduced by connection? No response. Daniel pushed forward. You measure conflict probability, but you don't measure adaptability. Pause. Define. Humanity has the highest internal conflict rate among emerging species, Daniel admitted. But we also resolve internal conflicts faster than any comparable civilization. Data flickered. Lise understood his strategy instantly. You analyze static models, she said. You do not account for emotional elasticity. The construct pulsed. Clarify. Daniel took a breath. We fight, he said. We fail. But we learn. Our instability produces solutions. It increases resilience. Silence filled the chamber. Energy readings fluctuated rapidly. Thren whispered, it is recalculating. Another construct drifted closer. Weapons charging. Time is limited, Virel warned. Daniel stepped even closer to the projection field. You were built by a species that feared collapse, he said. What happened to them? A pause longer than the others. No data. Exactly, Daniel said softly. They eliminated instability until nothing dynamic remained. No growth. No adaptation. The constructs froze. Lise placed her hand lightly on Daniel's wrist. Not pulling. Grounding. Conflict is dangerous, she said. But stagnation is fatal. The chamber trembled as external energy surged. Probability shift detected, Thren whispered. Daniel pressed on. If we commit to cross-species integration, he said quickly, shared resources, shared governance, shared defense, your conflict projection decreases, correct? Models shifted. Numbers recalculated. The red curve dipped slightly. Insufficient, the construct replied. Daniel's heart pounded. Then include us in the equation. Pause. Clarify. Monitor. Do not eradicate. Observe whether integration reduces volatility over time. Virel pulsed sharply. You offer yourselves as a variable. Yes. Lise did not hesitate. The Sirayan continuum supports this proposal. Sa hissed in disbelief. You risk extinction. Daniel met Lise's eyes. We already did that the moment we stepped into space. The construct's weapons dimmed slightly. Models recalculated again. Long seconds passed. Then, conditional observation protocol initiated. The energy around them decreased. The dark shapes began drifting backward. Conflict threshold under review, the construct concluded. The red zone on their display stopped expanding. Silence filled the ship. They were alive. The return to Meridian felt different. Not victorious. Not safe. But hopeful. The emergency council reconvened. Daniel reported everything. The ancient constructs would not disappear. They would watch. Humanity and the compact now lived under evaluation. Again. When the chamber emptied, Daniel stood alone for a moment. Lise approached quietly. You challenged machines older than our alliance, she said. I was terrified. And yet, he smiled faintly. She stepped closer. You offered humanity as proof. I offered connection as proof. Her luminous markings glowed softly. You realize what this means? Yes. We must actually succeed, he said. Precisely. Outside the observation deck, ships from dozens of civilizations moved in careful coordination. Trade lanes adjusted. Resource-sharing agreements accelerated. Joint defense councils formed. Humanity was no longer trying to prove they belonged. They were working to make belonging real. Lise reached for his wrist again. This time, he caught her hand instead. "I'm still afraid," he admitted. "Good," she whispered. "Why?" "Because fear means you understand the stakes." He looked out at the stars. Somewhere in the darkness, ancient machines watched. Measuring. Calculating. Waiting for instability to rise. Daniel straightened his shoulders. "Don't be shy, human," Lise said softly. He smiled. "This time," he answered, "I won't step back." And beyond Meridian Station, the galaxy shifted. Not because humanity was perfect, not because they were powerful, but because when the stars tested them, they chose connection over fear. And even ancient machines had to recalculate that.